All right, we're back. And so this is a follow-on to the previous lab where I was kind of talking about the assignments for chapter 2. And what we're doing here is we're going to go and sort of solve this problem. So we're totaling up in order. We start the program, it'll ask you for the totals for item 1. Do you want to continue? Total for item 2. Do you want to continue? Item 3. And in theory, you should keep going until the person says no. And then what it does, subtotal, taxes, which is 7%, and it gives a final total. So how would I tackle this problem? Well, first thing I would do, go to a program that works, and I would go and basically save it as assignment 3. All right, so he's saved, awesome. Then I would rip out the guts of stuff that isn't important. Now, what's really cool is that your instructor, which was me, actually left you with an input section. So I'd copy that input section, go into here, and make that my input section. The other cool part is that I actually kind of know what the output is. Your subtotal was this, your taxes were this, your total was this. So what I would do here is I'd say, wish I made that text anyway. I'll just say your subtotal was that, and your taxes were, you know what, that line is going to look more like that line. So I'm just going to go copy, paste, and paste. Your, interesting what I did there, but that's fine. Your taxes were, and then print, thanks for getting rid of the print word. Not sure why you did that, but I'm sure you knew what you're doing. Your total was. That's the only thing that's different, your total. All right, so can we interpret what's going on here? Well, it looks like subtotal is probably going to be this one. Tax amount is probably going to be this one. And your total likely going to be this one. Okay, processing, we don't have anything yet, so let's just get rid of the processing. So, yeah, there's a flit tax. Good. All right, so I'm going to go run and let it go through its magic here. Oh, console limit reached. Oh my goodness. Well, what do we do to solve that problem? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click. It should be saved, actually. I should have no problem with this. So what you know what, I'm still going to do this. I'm going to right click, create a new tab. And this one, I'm just going to go to consoles. And so the first program is still out there. The second program is still out there. I'm just going to shut them both down. All right, so now I should be able to run this. And it blew up. And it blew up because, again, we got floats and strings all being crazy. So let's go string. I got to convert these guys all to string. Let's go copy, paste, and paste. And then we put it on an extra one of these, right? So that is then contained in that. All right, so let's run it again. Awesome. All right, so almost there. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to basically start getting how much for item 1, and let's just get this first line working. How much for item 1? So I'm going to go, yeah, what are we going to do here? I don't seem to have an item amount, so I'm going to create a variable called item amount. I'm going to basically say that the item amount is assigned input. How much for item? I'm going to hard code at this point 1. Use my little thingy. Okay, and then the other thing we do just for now is we're going to go print item amount. Okay, let's go run. How much for item 1? $100. $100. Good deal. Now we know already that we're going to do some math on this, so why not, while it's coming in, convert it to a float? Watch what happens when I convert it to a float, and watch that number there. Okay, let's go run. And I go 100. is now a float. It says 100.0 now, right? Remember, you have integers, floats, and strings, and booleans. That's what we're going to be getting to here in this program. So how much for item 1? And then we know pretty well that the subtotal should be added, should be the item total, right? So we're going to go the float. Oh, let's be true to what we're trying to do here. Float, float, and float. Okay, and so what I'm going to say here is that the subtotal is plus equals the item amount. And now I'm going to print the subtotal. Most of my print statements inside of my processing, all of them in this case, are debug statements. They're me basically looking to see, is this proceeding the way I think it should be proceeding? I go run, and I put in 100. And so far it makes sense. Our item total and our subtotal is the same. Now, where this will be interesting is if I go ahead and do a second one. Okay, so how much for item 2? And then I do my little subtotaling statement. Let's put a little bit of a space between these things. So here's item 1, item 2. We go run. So now looks like our subtotal is adding up just wonderfully. Now, the other thing we can do here is before we go to the tax and the total, we should be able to now say that our tax amount is assigned our subtotal multiplied by our tax rate. And then we can go for broke here and basically say that our total is assigned our subtotal plus our tax amount. Oh my goodness, what an exciting processing section. So let's run it again and see what's happening. So our first guy is 100, our second guy is 200. And so now what we're getting is we're getting 300. Our taxes are 21 and some distant decimal, and then 321. We're probably going to fix that distant decimal. In fact, we'll probably deal with formatting a little bit here too, because I think I did deal with that in one of the previous lectures. But for now, good enough, right? So that part's all working. The only problem that's not working is that we're not really looping. I've hard-coded item 1, I've hard-coded item 2, and I really want to be able to go how much for item 1 when it's the first time, how much for item 2 when it's the second time, and so on. All right, so where this was meant to go was there was a loop structure in chapter 2, and I wanted to get you guys some experience in that. And so this is how I would actually accomplish this program. First of all, I wouldn't have a second section. That's just done. This is important. We're going to leave this, and that's kind of the end of the processing section. The kill switch is blank, okay? And the continue is true. So I would say while I want you to continue, so while this is equal to true, okay, colon, do this stuff. And the first thing I would do, in all honesty, is I would just get it to run once. Get this thing to run once, right? Get it to run once. You don't want, especially in Python anywhere, you don't, okay, oh, nice. You don't want to create something that's going to run forever, because that could blow up all your cycles, right? So you only got so many here. So it looks like actually it is going to run forever. So while this is true, so you're printing, because I'm comparing here, not assigning. That's what's going on there. So I've just done what I told you not to do. Don't create an infinite loop. This is now an infinite loop. Well, what do? Well, first of all, I'm going to save my code for sure. I'm going to, I don't know if there's a way to just shut this dude down. There is. What I can do basically is I can just fly out here, check out my consoles, which I should have one. There's one. I can end it. Now I'm going to come back out to here and run it again and see what happens. Yeah, console closed. See that? Wonderful. Again, classroom environment. So this is what would happen if we were in the classroom. So now let's do this. Here's 100. And it went straight through. Perfect. Okay. So now we got a loop that's going to run once. Well, that's not super good. So what we want to do now is we want to basically say, okay, do that test. And that's what you're kind of seeing in the homework. Would you like to continue? So here's our subtotal. This would be a good spot. It's going to be the kill switch. I'm going to basically say the kill switch is assigned input. Would you like to continue? Yes or no? Question mark. My little prompty thing. All right. And then that's on its own not going to do anything. Right. So I've just basically gone in here and, now I'm going to get a nice little, would you like to continue? I'm going to say no, or even yes for that matter. It doesn't really matter. It's just going to finish. But what I can now do is add that other piece of code, which is kind of a control statement. If this dude is not equal to a yes, then this is assigned false. Here again, I'm in danger of creating an infinite loop. So let's just have a look at this. Thankfully, my inputs are stopping it. But if this is not equal to yes, then false. So let's go. And let's test the success first. Here's 100. Would I like to continue? Yes, I sure would. How much for item 1 again? 200. Would I like to continue? No, I would not. And bang, out it goes. Really cool, right? Really appreciating that. So the last deal here then is I'm constantly saying item 1. I did have a little thing in here called item count. I think that as soon as you go into the program, into that, this guy should be incremented. And actually, I'm sorry, that was C code there. I'm going to add 1 to it. And then instead of item hard coding 1, I'm going to add the string of item count, and I'm going to add this string like that. I'm going to go run. Notice item 1, because that is 1. I'm going to go 100. Would I like to continue? Sure. Now it's saying item 2, 200. Do you want to continue? Sure. I'm going to say 300. Do you want to continue? No. Boom. All right. That was pretty cool. So in this one little program, you're introduced to the idea of loops. You're introduced to the idea of ifs. You're introduced to the idea of casting, of inputs. You're introduced to the idea of an input section, a processing, and an output section. So there's a lot of cool stuff here. And by the way, lining up is always good too. And I suppose I could try to talk about the formatting thing, and I can't really remember if I want to talk about it now or if that's going to come up. That was at F, if you remember the F from the actual assignments. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to do that now. There's enough in here. I might return to this example and then bring the format function back in. But for now, that's pretty good. That for me, anyway, is probably the end of this particular assignment.